This is lab number 5, editing content in PDF files. Before you start this, please note that in this assignment is a prerequisite, which is actually not completely required, but could be helpful. We have now available to us, because of this virus situation, access to about 50,000 online textbooks, and there is an announcement on the KBC website about that. But I have put a link in this assignment, so you can click on that and you use your KVCC address, email address, to create an account if you don't already have one, and you can get up to 7 free textbooks that are online. Turns out that the 3rd edition of the Classroom in a Book is now available to us, so it would be helpful if you go ahead and get access to that. And so from now on, I'll be citing the pages which correspond to the lab. So in this particular lab, it actually is exercise or lesson 5, and it starts on page 120. So if you want to use that as an additional reference, you can just go ahead and get that access to that. And again, the instructions are on a link in Campus. So in this lab, we're going to do quite a few things. There's actually going to be 7 files to turn in, so it's kind of a long one. We're going to be doing all sorts of editing of text, editing, adding, well, it's going to edit and add and replace images. And we're going to learn how to export to different applications, particularly Microsoft applications. And also we're going to learn about redacting content as well. Okay, we're going to start by editing the Global Corp facilities file, so open that. And we're going to go to page 3. And once you get to page 3, go to the edit mode by clicking on Edit PDF. And we're going to remove the section of text that says Things to Consider, so click on that and simply hit the delete key. Next, we're going to move down to page 11, and we're going to edit the section of text here. So the editor is still active. We haven't gotten out of that yet. Go ahead and click and drag over this text here. So starting with the word purchases and then to the word approval, and change that. All you have to do is type. You can actually hit delete then type, but you can just start typing as well. Type obtain approval form. And once you've done that, then go to the end where it says corporate and hit a space and then type before purchasing furniture. Now we're going to go ahead and save this file under a new name. We're not necessarily finished with it yet, but we're going to go ahead and make sure it's saved. So go to File, Save As, and then put it in whatever folder you're planning on saving it to, and make sure it's going to be your name -lab 5 part 1. No extension is needed. That'll put it in for you. Just click the Save button. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take a look at how to change these bullet lists. So if you click anywhere in here, say put your cursor just before the M at the word make, and look over at the section, the pane on the right side of the screen, you'll see these bullet settings under the text settings. And the first thing you can see is that if you click the number type of bullet over here, it will change it to numbers. And we're going to go back and click the regular bullets, and then also you can change the bullet types by clicking the down arrow. So go ahead and click that down arrow and select the check type of bullet. The next thing we're going to do is a find and replace. So up on the very top menu under the edit option, click on that and then click on find. You can also type a Control F as well, and you'll get the small find screen, and the word we're looking for is the word interface. And then click enter, and you'll see it finds the first instance of that, and then click the replace with button, and in there type the word communicate, and click replace, and continue to click replace next until the message comes up that all matches were found. And once you're finished with that, close the find box. The next thing we're going to do is change some text properties. So we're going to move up to page 2, and we're going to select the word agenda. A couple ways to do this. If you click inside, you'll get a cursor. You can either double click that, or you can click and drag over the whole word. Or you can also just click on the very edge of the line and you get these dots around it. Now the whole thing's selected. Either one of those will work. Over here on the right, we're going to do two things. We're going to make it bold and change the color of the text. So the first thing is the color swash. Click on that and change it to a different color. Doesn't matter what color, just something different. And then also on the bold icon, click that. So now you've changed the color and you've made the font from regular to bold. Next, we're going to add some text. We're going to go down to page 11, and we're going to add a new bullet point to this. So go ahead and click inside so the cursor is next to the last period in the second bullet point. Hit the enter key and type evaluate ergonomic needs and identify solutions. And you can see that after you hit enter, it puts a new bullet point in, and you can go ahead and type. Once you've done that, go ahead up on the top and click the save button so you're sure that all your changes have been saved to this file. Okay, next we're going to go all the way to the last page, which is page 18. And the first thing we're going to do is move this text where it says thank you to a different position. So now remember, when you click inside this, it doesn't allow you to move it. You need to click on the outside edge so there's no cursor, and then you can actually click and drag this. We're going to drag that up just to the upper corner. And then we're going to add some new text. We're going to put it right down underneath the thank you. So we're going to click on add text and then click your mouse where you want to add it, and we're going to type we look forward to meeting with you. And then we want to make sure that font is 22 font. So if you select the whole thing, it is already 22, but if it's a different font, make sure that you change the size to 22 so the whole thing is selected. Now again, several ways to do that. You can click on the edge of the box, and now you can change the font size to whatever you want. Or you can click inside the box, and if you triple click, it'll select everything, and again you can change that font. Change that font to a 22, and then click outside of it so it stops editing. You can see now that we got that slightly smaller than the thank you on top. Once you've done that, go ahead and click the save button again to save your changes. Okay, next we're going to edit some images in this file. So we're going to go up to page 4, and you can see there's already an image there. Now, from the previous step, we still have add text selected. We want to click back to the edit function up here. Make sure you do that or this won't work right. So after you've clicked on edit, when you hover over this picture and click on it, it will be selected, and we want to replace that with one of the files that you should have downloaded. So right click and find the option replace image, and it should go back to where you originally opened this file, and we want to replace it with the image new reception.jpg. Next we're going to insert an image, so we're going to go down to page 5, and we're going to click on this option add image, and it should again go back to where you've been working with whatever folder that was. We want to add the boxes.jpg image. Once you've clicked that, notice that the mouse moves around with a small version of the picture that you're trying to add, and put that upper corner about where you want it, and then click on it, and now you see that you've got the picture approximately where you want. If you go to the edge of this now, you can click and drag it to align it just the way you want, approximately in this position. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is crop and resize this image. So while it's still selected and you have the square dots around it, on the right here there is some tools, and this third one over, if you hover, it says crop image. Select that, and notice how these edges now change, and we're going to hover over this and now resize it or crop it so it looks like it's focused in the center of the picture a little more, and then click that same icon again. It goes back to where it was with the sizing controls, and then we're going to go ahead and drag and resize this and make that a little bigger, and then we're also going to drag this image so it's centered nicely. And once you've done that, all our changes are complete. Now this next feature I'm going to demonstrate will not result in any changes, but you can go ahead and try it. This is different depending on the computer you're using and what apps it has installed. Well, this happens to be a Windows machine, so it will behave correspondingly. You can actually edit an image in this program using a different program that might be on your machine. So if I click on that again and these tools light up, there's an edit using function, and immediately I can go to Microsoft Paint with that if I want, because that's a standard Windows program. And as you can see, it brings this up in the Paint program, so you can actually edit it in a different program, and then once you save it, it will save it back into Adobe. So you don't have to actually edit it, but if you want to try just to see if you can get it into a different program by using this feature, in a Mac device, it's going to probably bring up a different program than Paint, obviously, but it works the same way. Okay, next we're going to practice actually copying formatted text out of a PDF. So if you go to page 17, and you're probably still in edit mode, make sure that you click the arrow or the selection tool, or this will not work right. So once you've clicked that, so the arrow has been selected, you want to go ahead and select this text here. And once that's selected, right click and click copy with formatting. So that should have copied all this text along with its formatting. And I'll show you a couple different applications here. I can bring up Word, and I can right click and paste that, keeping the source formatting. I can also, if you don't have Word, you can use something that comes with all Windows machines. That's WordPad, and you can also paste that here. It's going to come up differently because of the sizing. That's okay. And whatever you paste it into, then I'll demonstrate this with Word. Go ahead and do a file save as, and go ahead and save that as your next lab file. So it's going to be your name, lab 5, and it'll be part 2. And don't put an extension in. It will save it to whatever extension it needs to. Just hit the save button, and then you can close that application. And the next thing we're going to do is actually copy an image off this document. So go up to page 4, and on this image, click on it first so it's been selected. Then right click and click Save Image As, and it will probably go to the same folder you've been saving items to, and just put your name, lab 5, and part 3, and click the Save button. So make sure you save your changes to this by clicking the Save button before you exit, and after doing that, click the Close button on the right. Now that still leaves it open. We have a few more things to do, but it's now out of edit mode. Okay, now we're going to export this to a different type of document. We're going to start with a Microsoft PowerPoint document, which is a presentation program. Now you can do this whether you actually have PowerPoint on your PC or laptop or not. It will still work. If you do have PowerPoint on your device, then it will probably, after exporting, bring the file up in PowerPoint. If it does not, then it will just export the file anyways, and you'll still be able to turn it in. So what we're going to do is on the right here, there's an export PDF option. And of course, we're going to pick Microsoft PowerPoint. And just take note that this little gear icon does get you into some basic settings that you can use, including text recognition. We're just going to cancel out of that. And simply click the Export button. And then you're going to select where you're going to export that to. It's probably going to bring up the same name as your file, which would be your Lab 5 Part 1. But we want to change that to Part 4. And don't worry about the extension, and click the Save button. And you'll see it processing that for export. And then it's finished. And again, if you have PowerPoint, it will probably bring it up in the PowerPoint application. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is export to a Word file. We're going to use a different PDF for that. So go ahead and make sure you've saved your current file, and close that by clicking the X in the tab. And then open a new file that you've downloaded called Statement of Work. And we're going to go ahead and do an export on that. Click the Export PDF function, this time Microsoft Word. And again, if you click the gear, you can see the different options, including text recognition and so forth. And we'll just cancel out of that and go ahead and export, and put it in the same directory you've been working in. And just to call that again, your name and Lab 5. This is going to be Part 5. And hit the Save button. Now, since this machine has Microsoft Word that I was just using, notice that it did actually bring the document up in Word. So again, if you have Word, it will probably bring it up in that. Go ahead and close that. It's already been saved. and go ahead and close this document as well. Now we're going to open a new file for our last export, and that is called venues.pdf. Okay, now the last thing we're going to do is export the table that's in this document into an actual Excel spreadsheet. So to do this, once you have it open, make sure that the arrow selector is picked, and you're going to click and drag around this document. Now make sure you're not going inside of it. That will not work. You want to go from the outside of the document and drag all the way around it so the whole thing is covered, and then somewhere in there right click and click Export Selection As. And in the selector here, you want to change it from a Word document to an Excel workbook. And go ahead and give that, again, your name, Lab 5. And this is the last file. It's going to be Part 5. And let it put the extension on for you, so hit Save. And now, since I have Excel on this machine, you see this did in fact open it up in an Excel file. So if you don't have Excel, it will still save it as one, but it won't open it. So you go ahead and close that, and close the venues file. Okay, we're going to go a little bit into something called redacting text, which is where you take sections of text and permanently mark it out so it can't be read anymore in a document. The way this is done manually, of course, particularly like you see a document that the government has released but has redacted certain text in it, you'll see all sorts of black marker blocking the text they don't want you to see. Now this can be done in Acrobat as well, so we're going to do a little exercise on that. Go ahead and open the statement of work PDF again, and looking down here, we're going to look for the word risk, just so we can use that as an exercise to do this redaction function. So we're going to go to More Tools on the right, and then near the bottom is a function called Redact. So we're going to go ahead and click that. Okay, so now we're in the Redact function in this document. We're going to go to where it says Mark for Redaction, and we're going to do a Find Text. And this is just a standard message. You can mark that to not show it again if you want. It's just saying that some text can't be read if it's in an image. Hit OK, and we're going to search on the word risk. So in this box, type the word risk, and then hit the search and remove. And you can see it found 5 places. It also includes anything with the S on the end of it. We're going to check all of those, and then we're going to click on the bottom Mark Check Results for Redaction, and we can close that window now. So if we look at it now, you're going to see that these have red around them, but they're not done yet. So we're going to come up here now, and under the Apply button, we're going to click Apply, and then Are You Sure? You hit OK. And this is another information about possibly hidden information. You hit check that. I usually check always perform, and then hit yes. Now at this point in time, once it's finished, you'll see that anywhere where the word risk was has now got black over it, just like it would be with a marker. And we go ahead and close this window here, and we're going to do a Save As. And this will end up being the last file, so it's going to be your name. It'll be Lab 5, Part 6. And that'll be a PDF, but they'll name it for you. So hit Save, and go ahead and close that then. Okay, we're going to go over the files you're going to be turning in because there are 7 of them, just to review what they're supposed to be. Part 1 is a PDF. It's a modified version of that Global Corp file that you first open. Part 2 is going to be some sort of word processing file with the extracted text from Part 1. That could be a docx or some other type of file. Anything is fine as long as it's a word processing file. Part 3 is extracted image, that is a JPEG. Part 4 is the PowerPoint conversion file, that's also from Part 1. Part 5 is a Microsoft Word conversion from statement of work.pdf. Part 6 is the venues.pdf Microsoft Excel conversion. So that's an XLSX file. And then finally, part 7 is a PDF. Again, it's a modified version of the statement of work with the redacted words in them.